everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Chick Chat Collective. I'm super excited. Today we have Lilli Bewley here. She is a dating coach for finding love. She's been doing this for several years, and we're going to learn a little bit about why she does this, how she got started doing this, and all of the things that she is offering and helping you guys achieve in your dating life. And so, Lilli, thank you so much for being here. If you would introduce yourself a little further and let everyone know a little bit about you.
Yes. Well, thank you, Casey. I'm excited to have this conversation. I love talking about love and I love talking about dating, even though I know if anybody's out there, women or men, and you're dating, you probably told yourself and told other people that dating sucks. And I want to tell you that it's not that dating sucks. It's that your experience with dating sucks. So the question is, how do you change your experience? And that's why I'm here.
That's amazing. Well, what sort of was the catalyst or the tipping point that made you decide, hey, I want to do this full time. Like, I want this to be what I do and help people find love. What sort of led you down this path?
Yeah. Well, basically all of it was the trials and tribulations that I went through in my relationships and my dating life. I always like to say that I was born with a big heart, big, open, loving heart. And because of the environment I grew up in, the childhood that I had, the models that I had, and then the continuous pattern of being in unhealthy relationships throughout, my years, what I realized is that I never really learned who to allow and who to let into what I call my heart space. There's energy, there's, when someone's there, whether they're a good person or a bad person for you, it takes up energy, it takes up time, it takes up money. And what I realized was through my journey of unhealthy relationship after unhealthy relationship, like, dating life that was really frustrating and confusing, that it wasn't really about me, but it was about who I was picking, who I was letting in. And then after that, what I realized was that, as you can probably, I go really deep, like my programs are, my therapist told me that I should be a therapist, but I told her, no, girl, I'm not going back to school. So I do a lot of deeper healing work, and I've done it with myself. Like, I would never ask somebody to walk down a path that I haven't walked before. And, what I've realized is that the patterns that I saw, like if we see a pattern in our life, a pattern is something that happens 3 or more times, like if you're attracting emotionally unavailable men, if you're always, maybe sacrificing yourself or your time or whatever it is that's happening in your dating life, something that's happening 3 or more times, that there's a root cause issue for why that's happening.
Yeah.
And we're talking more than just like knowing it in your head with awareness, but really transmuting it and alchemizing it into making sure your behaviors and actions and thoughts and beliefs line up with what it is that you want. So yeah, basically it's all about that. I always like to say that your patterns aren't you. They're just a part of you that is really screaming out for you to heal. So if someone is seeing a pattern in their life, even if like dating or love or relationship, whatever it is, job, that it's really about what's happening with them on the inside. And I say this with love and not with blame, but from an awareness piece, that is something that is really just like I said, just screaming out for you to do some deeper level healing work on that.
That's amazing. And so, do you help people with that in your program? Like, you can kind of help them establish and be aware of their patterns, because some people may not even be aware of it, and
Yeah.
I can think of some examples off the top of my head of like very clear patterns that I see with people.
Mhm.
Um, and then once they do, how do you sort of help them break that, or whatever the right term is, right? How do you break the pattern if this is something, like you said, it could come from all the way back from your childhood.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
and that
we always start with awareness. And I'm sure people that are listening to your podcast, the people that listen to me and my audience are pretty good with awareness. They read the books, they listen to the podcasts, they follow the inspirational Instagram accounts and all that stuff. And so it always starts there. The thing is it doesn't end there. And that's where people mostly get stuck. That's one of the things actually that I really don't like about personal development. This category, I guess, that I'm in, is that knowing something is very different than making something happen in your real life. It takes, I talk about alignment. I talk about, because I talk, about internal alignment. When your thoughts and behaviors and actions line up with what you should be like, or what you may be feeling inside. I work with a lot of women, and this was me, where I didn't understand, like, I had done everything in my life that I was supposed to do. The job, the kids, the job, the house, the car, all the things, the degrees, all of that stuff. But I reached a point where I was still severely unhappy. And it's really a breaking point when you know what you should be doing, but you can't do it. And that's what we get to. That's the root cause of what we want to get to in our lives, because there is something inside of us, based off of stuff that's happened in our past, based off of maybe even our like our last relationship or the relationship before that, where it has just a grip, and it's really running our dating lives, or again, our relationship lives, or our job lives, or whatever it is. There's something that's running it. It's not us. It's not our highest self. So the recognition is always great. The second hardest thing to do after that is to realize probably that you can't do this alone. And this is really, really hard. I always like to say hyper independence is a trauma response, right? Because we have never been able to trust people in our lives. So we just figure it out on our own, and we can, and we do, and we're great, and we're strong. I'm not knocking the stuff that we've been through. And if what you want is a loving, healthy spiritual partnership, then we really, really have to heal that part of us that is stuck in perfection, that is stuck in control, that is stuck in hyper independence, can't ask for help, can't ask for support. Because if that's what we want in real life, we have to alchemize that on the inside of us.
That's amazing. And it, just like when you said you did everything right, like you did everything you were supposed to do, right? And so many of us do that. Like we get in a relationship, and then we get engaged, and then we get married. And then it's like we have all these steps in our head and like this list that we have to check off. And then it's like, well, then what happens when that doesn't go as planned, right? You did everything right. You followed all the steps right. I'm using air quotes, guys, because what I've learned through my experiences is like the only right way is the way that is good for you and your family, and that brings you joy and peace and happiness, and like if people want to judge the way you're doing things, like that's on them. It's really none of your business the way that other people are looking at your life or looking at the decisions that you're making. And so I just want to touch on that, because I feel like so many women, especially, right? We feel like we have to do certain things by certain ages, right? How much is it pushed on us to like have kids before age 35 or whatever because of the geriatric issue, which I think that is just like the most insane word ever to use for that kind of thing, number one. And so I just appreciate your honesty about that, right? Because sometimes when we are doing all the things, it doesn't turn out the way that we had planned for it to turn out,
Yeah, totally. And I think I just want to like put this out here and be transparent about anyone that's listening. I know you probably know this based off of what you've been through, Casey, is that transition from the quote unquote right way into your way is so, so hard. There's so much work that has to be done on the inside with our subconscious and our unconscious, our wounded parts, the emotional traumas, or the physical, whatever type of traumas that we've had in the past, to deprogram all of those different voices and all of those different messages that have been ingrained in us. So it's not, it is very, it's like I just want to say this because I know if someone's going through this right now, hopefully this helps. It is a very hard, it's really, really hard. It's such a beautiful thing that happens though, when you can transform. A lot of women stop, especially in dating, a lot of women stop with, this is what I don't want. They know really, really, really well what it is that they don't want. But to be able to take that one step further and one step deeper, to be able to really express what you do want and start to heal the parts on the inside of you that are saying that you can't have that you don't know what that looks like, that I've never had that before. These beliefs that parts of us have created for good reason in the past. But the healing work is really, really deep because it's such a beautiful transmutation from this is what I don't want to this is what I do want. And a lot of women, especially in the personal development space, have done a lot of work about what it is that they do want. And I'm not going to deny that. But where I see most women, and this is me, again, like I never ask people to walk the journey that I have not walked. I wrote out all the characteristics that I wanted in a partner. I wrote a letter, to my future partner to attract him to me. And even with that work, there are probably 2 or 3 levels deeper that we can go with that work, because there's something missing normally between like this sheet, like this checklist, and then what's showing up for us in real life. Like I can't even tell you that how many women I hear, and this was me, like all the good men are taken. There are no emotionally unavailable men. The apps suck, all the things that we tell ourselves and we tell our friends, again, may be true, but then what's also true is that we can change this experience. And that's kind of the work that I do.
That's amazing. So we were talking a little bit before we recorded about these feminine archetypes. Will you touch on that just a little bit? Because that is something I know nothing about. And I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't either. And I think that that's something that is really interesting.
Thank you. Yeah. The feminine dating archetype. So if a woman is dating right now, or even if you're in a relationship and you're kind of wondering like why you see certain like communication patterns or certain things that are happening in your love life that you see, time and time again, then you likely fall into 4 different feminine dating archetypes. And let me just say, like, how this happened was me looking back on, so currently, I was dating for a while, even while I was doing this work, but like I had definitely reached a healing threshold. I was a lot more clear on what I wanted. I started to attract some really elevated, type of men. And then now I'm in like the best relationship I've ever been in my life with the most amazing man I've ever known. It's crazy and amazing. I'm so grateful. Thank you, God. But when looking back, there were some definite kind of like phases that I went through in dating. And then my clients started to have, like, I started to recognize these kind of like these 4 different phases that we went through. And they're archetypes because sometimes women get stuck in these phases. And that's where these came from. And then I combined it with a lot of the healing modalities that I do, with what's happening in our body, what's happening in our mind, what's happening in our soul. And they were born. So that's kind of where they came from. And the feminine dating, I have a quiz, if you can even take it if you want, I don't know, or anyone who's listening, it's at datingarchetype.com. You can find out kind of what your archetype is, but that's kind of where they came from. But we can go through them, or I don't know how you want to do.
Yeah. Will you just kind of give us a little quick description of each one?
Yeah. So the chill woman is the first phase that I was, and I was like the chill woman from like birth to 2018 or something like that, like a long time.
Yeah.
The chill woman is super familiar with overwhelming anxiety when she's dating. Especially after not hearing from the other person after like 24, 48 hours. And this happens a lot on the apps. I hear you, I'm with you. I know that, my friends. Sadly, the chill woman tends to get ghosted a lot and she doesn't understand why. Like she probably has like, I want honesty and communication on her profile. Ooh, scene. Um, sometimes the chill woman tends to have sex pretty quickly after meeting someone. Really, she'll tell herself, this was me at least, when I was a chill woman, I told myself that I was okay with it, but really I just wanted love and connection, and I ended up, getting caught up and getting, in feelings and stuff.
Yeah.
um the chill woman also has complained in past relationships of not being seen and not being heard. So those are some basic points on the chill woman. Do you know any chill women?
I don't know, I was like, that's definitely not me. I'm definitely not a chill woman. Um, I would have to think about it more. I think of that. Probably one of my girlfriends who is dating right now, except I feel like she's definitely seen and heard. I just don't know if it's taken seriously. You
Mm,
know, I think she makes herself seen and heard. I just don't know if her partner really cares. Honestly.
okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, that's interesting though. There's
Yeah.
some things that I was like, nope, nope, nope.
Yeah.
I'm kind of
Well,
curious to see
maybe,
what I am.
maybe you know more about the fortress woman. So the fortress woman is the woman, like I said, that has the size of the Great Wall of China around her heart. She has been through so much pain, so much maybe betrayal, so much just a lot of pain in her love life. Like she's been hurt really bad before, and the only way to defend herself really is just to not let someone in. Like when I was in the fortress woman, I know that you don't like this and I love you, but I want to say that when I was the fortress woman, I dreamed and I put on my vision board that I wanted a big ass house with a bunch of animals and no partner. Like I was pretty much good. Like I talked to somebody in my community this past weekend and she's like, no, I've pretty much given up on love, which is, do your thing. I'm not here to convince you. What I am here to do is give you hope that there is a way to have a protection around your heart, still be strong and still have an amazing, love relationship. And that is the work is for the fortress woman is really about vulnerability inside of herself.
Yeah.
It's also about learning how to trust her intuition again or ever. A lot of self-trust in there as well. If the fortress woman is dating, she tends to find fault with the other person really quickly. Like I remember also when I was a fortress woman, if they had any type of grammatical errors in any of their replies, it was an immediate swipe left for me. So that's like, those are some basics on the
That's
fortress woman.
that's so good. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness. That's so funny because when Tyler, my fiance, and I started reconnecting, sometimes he'd be like texting so fast and what's it called when it
Like autocorrect.
autocorrect, yeah, or whatever would change it. And then he would like come back and be like, I know that was not the right way. Don't think I'm an idiot. And I was like, I didn't. Like, I get it. You were just responding really quickly. But it's just funny that he like felt the need to say that,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I think I've probably been a fortress woman. I think it like after
Oh yeah.
I mean, the only time really that I've been hurt or betrayed was in my first marriage. Like,
Mm-hmm.
dating as a teenager or whatever, I was always the one who like ended things pretty
Mm-hmm.
much. And you're young and like, whatever. Like my first marriage, I was 21 when I got into that relationship, and then I was like 32 when I got out of it. So
Mm,
I definitely just kind of had that, can I trust anybody? It wasn't even like
yeah,
relationship wise,
absolutely.
I was like, are my parents against me? Are my best friend? It's just this weird thing that your brain kind of does this, like, if someone who's supposed to love me more than anything in the world can like lie to my face for so long and do this horrible stuff for so long, like, who the heck can I trust? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it was just this very weird. Eventually, I went to therapy and I kind of got myself out of that, but I definitely would say that I was a fortress woman, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it was a way of like coping mechanism, honestly.
Absolutely. Well, I think there's definitely really great protective qualities about the fortress woman. My concern is staying in the fortress woman phase forever.
Yeah.
And that is it's just, I mean, it's possible to get out of it. And yeah, I mean, like all of those things that you experienced, I'm sure it started to mean things for you, you know, like I'm bad. I'm not good. I'm not good at picking the right people. All of those things. And those are the deeper level things that really, really need, like you did in therapy, right? That really, really need to be touched and healed and loved, you know, so you can welcome in beautiful, epic love.
Yeah. Well, and I do want to just say, because I want to hear about these other two archetypes really quick, but I want you ladies who are listening to know that, like, if something like that happened to you, um, you know, and I was being told during all of this from my ex-husband, like, that it was all my fault too. And like, I can't divorce him because no one will want me. You know, I'm a 32-year-old woman who can't have kids and who's going to want me and all this stuff. And there was just something in my head where I was like, this isn't right. Like, I'm not the one that did the bad thing. Like, I don't know what he's trying to pull or do right now, but like, I want you all to know that if something was done to you, it doesn't reflect on you, right? It reflects on the person who did that. You know, like, if you're working in a relationship and you have open communication and you're working towards something, that's one thing. But if you're just straight up being lied to and cheated on, like, that's the coward's way out. He should have just come to me and said, I don't want to be in this marriage anymore. You know, I've found somebody else and we need to separate, right? It shouldn't have been this, it should never be a lying, cheating situation thing. And so just know that, like, if you're going through that or have been through that, that doesn't reflect on you as a person. That was their choice to make. They could have just gotten out. They could have just told you the truth and been a decent person and gotten out of the relationship. So I just want people to understand, because it's right. Like, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Like, nothing. I mean, maybe you weren't the best partner in the relationship, but the other person could have just left the relationship. And so I just want people to understand that, because it was really drilled into me of like, I caused all of this.
Yeah. And it's such a psychological, like, mind. I don't know. Can I say a bad word here?
Yeah.
Mind fuck.
Yeah.
So it's like such a like a psychological thing, because I remember, like, I've been in those types of relationships as well, where, you know, like you really start to believe that something's wrong with you. Like, you really, really do. And yeah, if anyone is going through that type of thing, like you have, just like you're saying, Casey, you have choice. You may not feel like you have choice, you know, things that happen, like trauma always has this way of putting us into these silos, either, like, you know, people call it black and white thinking. So if you feel trapped, you know, then it's not you, it's just the trauma that you've experienced. So really, we have choice. If you don't feel like you have a choice right now or whatever, like, there's choice in starting to heal what's happening inside of us so that we can make better choices on the outside, right? Like, and it's super hard, super difficult. I've been in those relationships before, and you're right, it has a lot to do with their shit and why they can't communicate honestly. And if you're like, a pattern is something that happens 3 or more times, and we can't change them. We can only make choices for ourselves, and, you know, in some cases our kids, and yeah,
for sure. Okay, what's the third one?
Oh, the third one is the goddess woman. The goddess woman is most of the times the clients that come to me, because the goddess woman has done a lot of work. The woman that comes to me has typically done 6 months or more of therapy. But in their love and relationship life, they are just feeling like something's missing, really. Kind of like at that point, what we talked about before, where I've done all the things. I'm, a leader, I'm an executive, I'm a mom, I'm a caretaker, all of that stuff. But she still really can't get that, really that love that she wants in real life. And she knows it's something inside of herself. It's like she has a gap somewhere, and she feels like something's missing. So the goddess woman is super confused, by love, super frustrated at this point, really into personal development. A lot of times this may hurt the goddess woman, but I see you, because I was a goddess woman myself, is that a lot of times the outward perception of who she is, and what she's going through, isn't there's a disconnect between the outward perception and what's happening on the inside. Like maybe her IG, or like, how, that classic, oh, how are you doing? I'm fine. Like that type of thing.
Yeah.
So there's a disconnect between how she's portrayed on the outside and how she feels, especially about dating and love, on the inside. She wants to be coveted. She wants to be chased. But there's a special relationship that the goddess woman has with perfectionism and control, and the A plus part of her, for example. Again, maybe she's a leader, maybe in her business life or something like that. But there's some things happening with the way that she wants things to happen in her life, and the
Mhm.
way that she can kind of react to that with like love and grace, kind of in her dating life. A lot of times the men that she attracts in dating the goddess woman, she feels like she's better than them. She's a lot further along the personal development path than they are. And she sometimes tends to go into a coach, caretaker, therapist type of role, not the role of their lover.
Interesting.
Do you know any goddess women?
I think I do. I
Hmm.
don't want to
Hmm.
say it
Don't
out
don't call them out too hard.
loud.
But
Yeah.
we see you. We love you.
Yep. That's very
Yes.
interesting. And it makes so much sense, right? Like the outside kind of conflicting with the inside, because if you are, crushing it in every aspect of your life except that one part, and that's the part that you really yearn for,
Hmm.
then I'm sure there is a daily struggle and battle
Hmm.
with that. So
Totally.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the last one is the magnetic woman. The magnetic woman is the woman that I aspire to be. Not all the time, because I'm not perfect either. I always like to say at least 80% of the time, the woman that my clients aspire to be as well. And the magnetic woman knows who she is and what she wants. And this is what we were talking about before. This is the next level on knowing what you don't want, and then actually attracting and being able to communicate very clearly what you do want. The
Mhm.
magnetic woman is, I don't know if you've if you like been to a grocery, like obviously like grocery store or a party, and it could be a magnetic man or a magnetic woman, but somebody like walks into a room or is around you, and all of the air tends to like, it just gets sucked up. And it's not because of their beauty, it's because of their energy. And
Mm.
it's like the way they hold their neck, the way their body is postured, the way when they speak, it's the energy and clarity and discernment and intuition and connection behind their words. The the magnetic woman in dating is super, super beautiful, because her internal worth and her magnetism has moved from things that she knew that she is. Like, I know that I love myself, but it
Mhm.
really, her actions and behaviors have moved from her head to her body. So everything that she does, or most of the things, obviously people make mistakes. I make mistakes. I go through dips myself, but most of the time her thoughts, behaviors, and beliefs are lined up with um with who she is and what she wants, all of it, so learning how, like, the magnetic woman has reconnected back to her intuition. So she knows who to let in and who to not let in, right? She knows how to say no with grace. She knows how to discern. She knows, there's a lot of work that she's done with self-trust as well. So yeah, magnetic woman she's my woman.
That's amazing.
Thanks.
Well, Lilli, this has been such a good conversation, and I
Thank
know
you.
you want to offer our audience something. And guys, if you are driving or you don't have a way to jot this down, no worries, because we're going to put it in the show notes for you guys. So if you wouldn't mind just letting them know where they can find you on social media, your website, and then this amazing offer that you have for these.
Thank you so much, Casey. I love these podcasts. You're amazing. So if any woman wants to find out what their feminine dating archetype is, you can go to datingarchetype.com and take the quiz. It will reveal your blocks to love, your current kind of blocks, where you are, and it'll help you find your true love match. And that's at datingarchetype.com. And Casey, I'd love to invite any women in your community that is open to going to the next level of healing, deeper level healing, to find true love, or even, if you are currently in a relationship and you just love to work on yourself and you'd like to kind of to go through maybe some patterns that you're seeing. But I'd love to invite your community to Dating You. It's the School for Magnetic Relationships, where we do all this work. We work on the dating systems that you have. Crazy to even think that there could be dating systems. This does not take away from the joy in dating, but it helps you figure out who to have all that joy and time and energy with. So the code, I'm going to do chick as the code, will get your community 2 months free in Dating You, and that's about $94 off. So they're welcome to join in the community, and it's at my website, lillibewley.com/datingyou.
That's amazing. And the code is CHICK.
You got it.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks again so much, Lilli. And thank you all for listening. We'll talk to you next time.